Good morning everyone. In this video I'm going to analyze the live price action for EU and DXY to see what opportunities there may be today. You're going to see my strategy and my analysis, so if you're interested in those then please stick around. So we're starting off here on the daily. Now, having let the news play out in London before recording, you can see we are heavily bearish on that negative Euro PMI news, right? So we do have some more news later in New York at 2:45 p.m. my local time, so we'll see how that US PMI news also shapes the market. We may not be able to actually enter anything today, but let's just get on with the analysis now. So as I said, we're heavily bearish since PMI, right? What we can notice here on the daily is we had SMC divergence come into the market on the higher time frame, right? So from this high to this high is a lower high, and then from this low on our inverse DXY to this low is a lower low. So what that could indicate is DXY has taken sell side liquidity, right? As we can see, there was no candle closures below this low either, so it's closed as a form of a sweep, I would say, of sell side liquidity, which was early signs of possible weakness from EU because it failed to make a higher high, right, where DXY made a lower low. So now we're seeing some strength come off the back of that from news, okay, and what that could indicate is DXY may be heading for higher prices, maybe above these highs, into this imbalance and order block that it neglected previously when EU did actually mitigate that order block here, right? So more SMC divergence into the market as we had before. So bearish momentum, we have a small imbalance here that's only partially mitigated, I believe. So we could see if some resistance comes into the market around this point, but then we also have much further down in that discount, which we didn't make it to. We have possible supports maybe around this area here and ultimately down here with this order block and clear imbalance. So we'll see where the daily's heading at the moment. Super bearish. Next point of sell side liquidity, previous weekly low. We'll see what reactions happen around there where this imbalance is as well. So let's move on. Let's go down to the 4 hour, see what that looks like. Now, as you'd expect, the latest 4 hour candle is just a massive bearish engulfing, right? We probably are going to leave behind this order block here, okay? But we're heading towards some sell side liquidity, previous weekly low, as I mentioned. So previous weekly low, we may see some sort of pullback from there. There's obviously on the 4 hour no real support looking POIs here, so I imagine we're going to continue toward this previous weekly low. Beneath that, again, we have imbalances here which may get mitigated and an imbalance below that, so we may see some support around this area here. However, at this point we may be a long way away from there. DXY, we have similar, we have this same imbalance above here and the same previous weekly highs buy side liquidity, which we may be a bit further away from, so we may see some divergence, at least in the short term. DXY gave an indication of finding support here. As you can see, all of these candles, it ranged, swept that sell side liquidity really, right? Just stayed in a range, refusing to continue and make trending lower highs, lower lows. And now today on news, we're seeing that bullish momentum. So there's not loads to go on with the 4 hour. I just think we have a sell side liquidity target here, right? I wouldn't be looking to try and continue any sells right now, in my opinion, until we're back up into this area here with maybe more favorable high time frame POIs. So I'll look to see what happens with this sell side liquidity or once we mitigate these areas here. So it's a patient one. There's a lot of news today, a lot of news this week, and we'll see how the market shakes things out. So let's go down to the 1 hour, see if anything's any clearer or if there's anything immediately to be aware of. So here on the 1 hour, the shift in structure is obviously quite clear. We've now closed below this low and this low. We do have these imbalances here, and I guess maybe some sort of order block where we swept sell side liquidity and then tried to make bullish highs. But the way I'm reading this is, if we really wanted to dig into what leg we're within, I would say it's from this high here to this low where the previous weekly low and high is. So in my opinion, this could be a weak low because obviously it took sell side liquidity, then didn't break this high. So it goes with the theory I'm expecting anyway, is that we're going to seek out the sell side liquidity of this weak low. So we're probably heading for this previous weekly low here, which I expect us to likely mitigate at some point today. So I think everything checks out and is aligned, right? If we just use this 1 hour structure, this is possibly a week low, and it's the sell side liquidity target as well from all of this bearish momentum. Now, of course, on the 1 hour, we have the imbalance here. As I mentioned, it has been mitigated now. That may provide some early support and a pullback to somewhere, right? Or just it may slow down this momentum and price may wait for that New York announcement. So we'll see what happens there. I would prefer the previous weekly low sell side liquidity to be swept, right? To look for opportunities for a pullback, maybe up into a premium of, I guess, this internal leg here, right? So we're going to have those good premium POI up here and the discount down here if we pull back to it. It'd be nice to get a sense of direction by making a lower low, and so we don't just stay confined to its external structure here. So it's not the easiest of reads today. I wouldn't say I have a clear direction. I'll be waiting for liquidity, of course, as I've mentioned, to be taken to possibly motivate a trade, right? Previous weekly high and previous weekly low, sell side and buy side liquidity. And then if we see a shift in structure to bring us back to a premium, I may look into that. However, as I mentioned, we have news again later today. It's a heavy news week. We may have to just be patient to see what shakes out of the market. So nothing to rush into for me. Even though we've mitigated this area here, I would need to see some clear order flow on the lower time frame. And as I said, I'd prefer previous weekly lows, previous weekly highs to be swept here if I do look for any buys. Okay, I'll be looking for sells from up back in this area again, most likely. So let's go down to the M15. We'll draw out some theory as to what I could expect and what I would be looking for today. Right, so let's get into this. What I would really like to see, as I mentioned, would be price to come down, take the sell side liquidity from these previous weekly lows, maybe find some sort of structure, whether it sweeps this low again or not would be great. Do something like this and then break that structure, pull back correctively to an order block that it left behind when it created this momentum, leaving an imbalance and order block, to then target some sort of premium. Okay, so again, sell side liquidity around this area from the previous weekly low taken, and possibly even its own internal structure there again. Then we would have some sort of break of structure around here, possible corrective pullback here, which leaves an inducement. This would be inducement. Inducement would just mean some sell side liquidity above our order block POI here, right, for that to be mitigated and taken out, so we can enter the market, stop loss just below the low, wherever that may be, targeting towards a premium and whatever target our strategy says, right? Mine is usually 3%. So this is the sort of trade I'll be looking for, and I always look for. It may be counter momentum and counter trend, I guess, at this point, if we make that lower low. But if we get a nice sweeping action of this previous weekly low and also the previous weekly high here on DXY, to head lower, back down somewhere towards the origin of this breakdown in price, right? Because now we've broken structure in this internal range here, and on the hourly as well, not just the 15-minute. So that's something I'll be looking for. And then, as I mentioned, once price is back up in this area, possibly I'll be looking for similar things when price takes out possibly its internal high and breaks down and pulls back to an order block, to then continue with this possible bearish trend if that's what price looks like it's going to have. Right, so this is what I'd be looking for at that time. Today I just see a lot of bearish momentum, and I expect this previous weekly low to go because, as I said, it looks weak if I'm looking at that 1 hour structure that failed to break this high. So we'll see what today brings. That's everything. I hope that was clear. I hope you gained value from that. Any questions, let me know in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.